What if you could help others to find the power to heal themselves? Physically, emotionally, and spiritually.
When I started teaching my classes, it was in 2002, and I was just doing the past life regressions and contacting the subconscious part. But then as the time went on and we found how powerful this was and what we could do with it, a lot of the students began saying, you know, advanced past life regression doesn't really tell what it's all about. This is so much more than that. We think you should change the name. So it was a few years ago we decided to change the name to Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique. And this is the healing technique that we've now been teaching it, well, since 2002, that's 12 years.
What if you could time travel with them? Visit mythical places or angelic realms, other worlds, other galaxies. Help others to speak to their higher selves. You can. Dolores has taught thousands of people from across the world how to use QHHT, and now you can learn her method by going directly to dolorescannon.com. And don't forget to mention the discount code MORETALKS.
Established over 100 years ago, Watkins Books is one of the world's oldest and leading independent bookshops specializing in esoterica. We have the widest selection of esoteric books in the UK, and our friendly and knowledgeable staff are here to assist you in a unique ambience of our shop. So come and visit us in the heart of London as we're open every day.
The More Show is supported by Mindscape, Paranormal and UFO Matrix magazines, available for download on all major digital platforms. The comments and views expressed on The More Show are those of the people that make them and do not necessarily reflect the view of Kevin Moore, The More Show, or this radio station and its affiliate or sponsors. This show is for entertainment purposes only.
Broadcasting from the UK and across the world online. You're now watching the UK's only alternative late night talk show, and I'm your host, Kevin Moore. For the next hour, I'll be covering subjects that will open up your mind and provide you with information you may have never heard before. On today's show, I'm about to be joined by my guest, Robert Clancy. Now, Robert is a gifted entrepreneurial, inspirational speaker, author, and minister from the heart of upstate New York. At age 19, Robert had a divine spiritual experience that greatly altered his life path. In 2012, Robert started his Robert Clancy Guide to the Soul Facebook page, where divinely inspired thoughts are received. Now, to date, his personal reflections and inspirations are now followed by over 250,000 people worldwide. Robert is also the author of the acclaimed book, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Soul. Through his passion for exceptional design and innovative technology, he's also co-founded Spiral Design Studios over 26 years ago, which led to an award-winning creative team in the evolution of corporate brands marketing and web development. Robert Clancy, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me here today, Kevin. It's a true honor.
Well, thank you for making the time to come on the show as well, because I know that you're a busy man, and we shall get into that as well. I'm going to go straight to it, and I want to go to age 19, when you had this divine experience. Just tell the audience a bit about that experience.
Sure. Well, first I'll give you a little backdrop. I'm a highly analytical person. I'm actually a programmer, so logic is probably my key attribute. At least one of them, and then it was opened up another side at age 19. And at that time in my life, I had several friends commit suicide, and other friends were killed in these horrible car accidents. And I basically lost my support structure around me, and no one knew I was really suffering at that time. So I silently suffered, and I was basically mixing prescription drugs and alcohol and doing crazy stuff, getting in cars with people that were drunk, and I didn't really care. I stopped caring about everything. And luckily, this one coworker in the restaurant I worked at, she knew something was off and something was wrong. And she said, "I know what you're doing to yourself." And she pulled me aside and gave me a book on how to meditate and said, "I need you to do this. This has helped me. You need to go home tonight. I want you to stay out of the bars, stop doing whatever you're doing, and just do this." So I read the little pamphlet. It wasn't a very long book, but it explained, the mind's eye and meditation. So I was about 3 hours in on a meditation for the first time, which I think is a pretty long time to be meditating and trying to just bring that one focus in. And all I can tell you is I saw light with what they describe as your mind's eye, but I opened my eyes and I could see the light on the wall. So initially I kind of did, I thought I was getting something. But I couldn't break the beam of the light, and it almost looked like a laser pointer on the wall. And that's when I realized the light was coming from the wall, not shining on the wall. And so I sat there and watched it. And over the course of about 20 minutes to a half hour, it was getting brighter. It started flickering, and then it just unfolded like a butterfly into an angel. And that's when I said out loud, "Oh my God." And I sat up, and I don't know, I was at total peace. And I know what I saw because this angel actually came face to face with me. It was larger than a person. And I think she kissed me, although I never felt anything physically. It was nose to nose. I actually went cross-eyed and backed up. The entity stayed there with me, and I think she healed me because her hands opened up and her palms were facing me. And I just let it happen. And I thought, wow, the first thing at age 19, what I said to her was, "So what are we doing here?" And then I thought, can you read minds? And I thought of a funny joke. And that's when she smiled and nodded. And she just stayed there focused on me, just looking into my eyes. And at the end, she floated forward and touched me in my forehead with her index finger. And that's when I was plugged into everything. I felt total peace, total love. And afterwards, I talked to myself in the mirror. And I said, "No one's ever going to believe you." And in fact, I didn't tell really anyone for 30 years. It was just a handful of people. My wife, a couple close friends. I never even told my parents. And it was at the night that I knew my mother was going to pass away a few years ago that I told my father about what happened to me. And I told him, "You need to believe me because this is the God's honest truth." And I've had to live with knowing for the last 30 years. And I know it's like a double-edged sword because I've lived without fear. I've lived without doubt. And all of these words started coming in. Yeah, just recently.
Yeah. So 30 years before you told your dad and the rest of the family,
Right?
But what gifts did it give you? Do you think? Do you feel now? What from the moment that happened to all those years passing before you explained what had happened in your life? What was different about you? Do you think had that experience not happened? Yes, we know that you would have gone down a different road, but
Right.
possibly. But what intuitive gifts did it give you?
Well, that's a great question because initially I was given information. There were no words ever exchanged. There was no sound, but I knew exactly what was being communicated, and it was through thought and picture. That's the only way I can describe it. And I was shown that I was not on my road anymore. As you just mentioned, the road, and that's very important to me. It's like a path that we have. It's like each of us have this destiny. And she said, "Okay, basically, you need to do this. You're going to inspire youth. You're going to work with them, and things will unfold as you need them, and never have doubt or worry again." The gifts, I think, are still unfolding, and I'm still trying to figure out exactly what it is. I don't know if I have some intuitiveness, but I wake up since December 1st, 2012. It's almost like the rest of the gateway opened for me that morning. And I see almost like love data points on everything. And so everything inspires me. And then the words started. So I have these words that I wake up with, and not only are they written for me, but they're stored in my mind, almost like a hard drive. So I'll give you an example. Here's a few. Of all the journeys of life, you'll encounter valleys of despair and mountains of hope. Just know that the heavens are above the valleys and the mountaintops touch them. To reach the summit, you just have to take one hope-filled step past your fear, doubt, and worry. All hearts come in one size, large. Make sure yours is filled with love and compassion. When it overflows with love and compassion, it may accidentally spill over onto others. When you feel the weight of the world upon you, know that love will hold up anything as long as your faith does too. Life may be essential for love to survive, but love is essential for life to exist. And it's endless. I mean, I have 54,000 words I've written since December 1st, 2012. I have not missed a day. I started posting them on my Facebook page, and there's over 300,000 people following these posts. And they're divinely inspired. It's just everything. I see it in everything. It's the only way I can describe it. So those are the gifts.
Okay. Yeah, and that opened up in 2012 when there seemed to be some sort of conscious evolution, planetary-wise, in a sense. Some sort of shift took place. It seems to have been, and it definitely seems to be more than a coincidence that this extra gift of yours expanded in a sense.
Right.
Is this information coming through your soul? Would you say it's not from you?
Right. I think it's both. I mean, we have free will. And so it feels to me, like I'm given the editor's choice on how I want to put it together. Some things are communicated to me almost like pictures. Like I woke up from a dream, and it was a person I saw hunched over looking at this shadow, and they were in deep grief. And then the words just flowed in. It was, when you're mired in the shadows of despair, know that there's always a higher light source behind any darkness. You just need to turn around to see it. And it's things like that. Like I'm given the license to work with it, and then just put these down and share them. And they're meant to be shared. So that's why I started putting them out and just said, I'll just put them on my Facebook page and I say them to people or whatever. And I think they're the right words for the right person at the right time. And It's a gift that I feel compelled to share with the world. And I decided after telling my dad I wasn't going to take it to the grave of what happened to me. I know what I saw. I'm the most sane person on this planet. And, I said, people need to know. And I think, as you said, there was some shift that happened. I felt it, and it was like the pathway and the doorway was open completely. And it was like, now is the time for you to unveil this for the rest of the world. And that's the path I took at that time.
Do you think with giving these messages, it's your job just to turn up?
It is. It's just like if I think about it, they're there. And some days I will have 30 of them written. It's amazing because even other inspirational words inspire more things. Like I'll see, it's almost like I unravel it further. I saw this billboard, and it's a common quote. It was, "Peace of mind is a beautiful thing," was written on this billboard. And instantly my mind just goes, and it transformed it and it said, "Peace of mind may be a beautiful thing, but peace of heart allows you to see the beauty in everything." And it kind of one-upped it. It took it to another level. And I just see it so clearly, almost like math. It's just like, oh, that's the answer. And I just write it down.
Have you ever... Okay, do you still meditate?
Yes, every night. And that's a great question. It's every night, and I do even micro meditations. Just before I go to sleep, I try to just say a prayer. I think about things that I'm grateful for, and I just go to sleep with at least a happy thought and something, that's there. And even when things seem like they're going wrong, there's always a silver lining. And that's the one message that I was given, that you can always find that other half of whatever it is. There's always a reason behind even the deepest grief or loss something positive comes out of it, and it was meant to happen. And I've seen, families who've lost a child. In fact, my own brother lost, his 18-year-old daughter passed away about a year and a half ago. And, I know it devastated our family, but so much good has come out of what she left behind in her journals and inspiring other people to be better people. So, there's always something there.
Was that through suicide, Robert?
No, it was, in fact, it was a disease that was not curable. And we didn't even know she had it because of the way that she lived her life. She smiled every day and smiled through it. But when you read her journals, she was really hurting physically, but she never showed it to you because I think, our souls have written into it what our journey is. And I think she knew her journey was short because she was writing very profound things in 7th grade, when she was very young, about how short life is and taking every minute, and enjoying those minutes.
It's almost like something was coming through her to attune her to what maybe the eventuality of what was going to happen. I don't know. It's very easy to say these words.
Yeah, right. And that's the thing. I mean, I don't have all the answers, and we're all in the same boat here. And I think we just get the slices. That's what life is. It's figuring out this puzzle and unraveling these mysteries as we go through for our own journey and helping other people on theirs.
How much do you fight this gift that you've got right now? How much do you question it?
Well, for 30 years, alone, sitting there, and I'm like, I felt like I was on an island. So I'm going, I wish I could meet somebody else that had this happen. And then the internet came along and I started, searching up, who's encountered an angel and all these stories. And then, like who's been touched in the forehead by an angel. And I only found 2. And they were, one was in 800 AD and the other one was in 300 AD. So I can't talk to those people. One was a prophet in the 3rd century, and in the 8th century, it was the monk who built Mount Saint Michel in France. And he was touched with an index finger in the forehead. So, I questioned it, and I woke up with the answer one day. And you know what it is, Kevin? It said, why ask why when you should ask why not? I kept asking why me? And the answer was just why ask why when you should ask why not.
Yeah, absolutely. And this was Angel Gabriel, is that right?
The name I was given was Gabriel, and it was female as it appeared to me. And I feel that angels probably are not male or female. I think they just come in a form that is something that you would understand or appreciate. And I really appreciate Roman and Greek architecture, and she was a quintessential version of that. Beautiful wings, everything that you'd expect an angel to look like and be dressed like, which was amazing. And she did have a tiara on her head. I don't know what that was all about. I just felt like I was in the presence of royalty. The only thing that she didn't have was there was no harp. But she did have sandals and the same gown, and the wings were amazing. The feathers, I got to study every fold and every feather in the wing and every bead on the dress. She was translucent, too. It was almost like a ghost-like form that I saw, but definitely was there, and I felt so honored afterwards. I mean, I was bouncing off the walls. I was so happy that night. I wanted to run out in my front yard and just yell, like, it's all real. There is a heaven. And then I just said, nope, they're going to put you in a straitjacket, and you just gotta live life like this. And the first person I told was Ken, who's in my, the story of Ken is in my book. And he had terminal cancer at age, I think he was diagnosed around 24, 25, and only given a short time to live. And he was like one of the first people that I said, he needs to know. And I wanted him to know.
Okay, would you, I mean, to me, I said this off air to you, to me it's very much, a form of channeling. You can reverse that word and use receiving, whatever personification of a word helps you best, but it's almost like, to me, that you've got a direct connection to your guides. and whether you've actually accessed these guides or guide, or try to reaccess Gabriel again. Have you ever tried these things? Have you ever gone down that path?
Well, when I meditate, there was one interesting thing that happened while this angel was in front of me. I was able to close my eyes and still see the angel, but it looked like what an X-ray looks like. So everything was black, and then almost like when you blow a candle out in a dark room, I could see the face, and then I'd open my eyes and it was crystal sharp, and I thought, wow, this is like, I was actually thinking, this is cool, like what was happening, and I went, wow, this is amazing that I can see this view and the other, and now it's like I have complete access all the time to that view. And I don't know if I was being taught to see that, or that's just part of when I was opened. But I can, when I go to sleep, if it's a dark, room, and I close my eyes, I can see if entities are around me. And I do, I just ask for, when people ask me how I pray, I don't ask, most people say, please help me, I need this. And the way that I do it is, I don't say that. I say, in order for me to do your work here, to help other people, I need these things clear in my life so that I have a clear channel to be able to do this. And so I need, not to worry about finances. I need my family members and those around me taken care of and handled in a way that is respectful to their life, and that I need these things in order to move forward, and I will do what you need me to. Because I think, in my opinion, it's almost like we're entrusted to do the work because we're here. We're in manifestation. And in order for things to happen, we have to do it. They're the guides. And as you said, they're guides. They just kind of give you a directive. Do you have free will to do it or not? And in order for these things to happen, I think we bring it into the physical.
Absolutely, completely agreed. And I would say as well that when you do this work, manifestation seems to be a natural byproduct of it. Your life seems to just flow. You don't seem to have the resistance that was there before. I'm not saying there's not going to be challenges. I'm saying that, for what we perhaps without using this gift, it would be more of a struggle than by using it. It opens up all sorts of doors. It has for me just recently. Right. It's not been an instantaneous fix like that. It's taken time, of course, but I think by using these gifts as you do, you're helping people that you will never speak to, but they're there. They're coming across your work, and you're sending out love through your work, aren't you? Through your manifested quotes as well.
Yes, it comes to trust, and that's a big word. Trust and truth. There's only one truth in the universe, and it's love. And the other is to what I call, and you alluded to it, but my metaphor is letting go of the reins. Let it take you where you need to go, and trust that you're going to be where you need to be. And so those were parts of it that I needed to, let go of the fear and doubt. And I'm human, just like everybody else. And you still have those moments, but you need to trust where it's going, and that ultimately things will work out in the end. And I know people have been healed by my page and by the words because they've messaged me. I've had people say, by the grace of God, I found your page today and read what you wrote because I was planning on committing suicide and I'm still here. Or you have no idea how much your words have meant to me this week. And then they put, you have no idea. And I know what they mean because they were going through something. And as people were all dealing with something. Doesn't matter how rich or poor you are. We all have the same set of problems. We're going to lose our parents potentially. We're going to, deal with grief and sorrow. We're going to have loss. We're going to have the great days, the bad days, everything. But it all has a big picture and a meaning. And we're just learning these lessons. And I think it's to understand how important love is. Love is like the fabric of the universe. And it's how I feel we're all connected together. And that's really the ultimate piece of it. It's like I feel the other people around me, and I feel I don't know if I'm an empath or whatever, I've heard people refer to it as that, but I can feel that grief and sorrow, but I can also let it pass through in a way, or help take that away from them. And I think that that's possibly one of the gifts I have, or that I know through the words I can do that. At least on that, I'm reassured there.
Well, maybe, your true essence of who you really are, the bigger you, not the small you, but the bigger you, the soul, in a sense, already that is its natural gifts. And all you're doing is, in this particular lifetime, is, remembering those gifts while still in this human experience. Maybe you brought this gift in from a previous life and you've enhanced it in this life to use not only with the quotes, but also with the business, which we'll get into in just a moment as well.
Sure. And my words that came to me were that we're not humans with souls, but souls surrounded in humanity, and how we use that. And I think I've always known, so I've thought back as far as I could remember, and I can actually remember things before I could speak. And I always knew what love was, always, from the moment I've been here. And I know how important it is. And I abandoned it during that period when I was 19. But even with that choice that I took, I think it was part of the plan, because I've been at rock bottom. I've stood there. My feet have been planted on that. I know what's there. And it's to be able to help other people come back from that, because I've transcended it. And I think that's part of the whole learning process of, I had to know what that feels like. And dip my toe in it.
Yes. How would you know otherwise? How would you know otherwise? How would you know what cold was if you didn't know what hot was? How would you have any understanding of opposites if you hadn't experienced it yourself? And only someone that's gone through it, people will look up and listen, won't they?
Yes, and
you can help
talked to people that have been there too, and I've helped other people. I have these, what I call, they're not coincidences, they're God incidences. And in my upcoming book, I have some news stories and different experiences, because since December 1st, 2012, the whole paradigm for me has shifted, and I see things a lot clearer. And I just had, by chance, been asked to go to this hospital, and ended up in the C ward at the hospital, which is where they have people that have attempted suicide. So it's a lockdown ward. And somebody said, you need to meet me here. So I went to it. They said, bring your books. So I brought some books. I had no idea. I thought they were in an accident or something. And when I get there, the nurses are saying, oh, they're waiting for you in there. And I'm like, who's waiting for me in there? I walk in this room and there's 8 people sitting in a circle. And they were between the ages of 18 and like 25. And all of them had attempted suicide the week prior. And I listened to every one of their stories. And that week I had these incredible words about transcending that darkness. And I didn't post them because they were so polarizing. These words were just like, I didn't put it on my page. And I read them to them. And each one of them said, that one's for me. That one's for me. That one's for me. And I was able to help. They called later and said, what I talked to them about helped them. And I understood their stories. And real quick, this one young man at it, he lost his dad. And I guess he said, I can't live without my dad. And all I did was change his perspective. I said, are you a dad? Then he said, no. And I said, well, you will be someday. And don't you want to be that dad for your kids that your dad was for you? And he looked like he'd been shocked. He just kind of shrugged his shoulders. And then he looked at me and he said, you're right. I never thought about that. And it just took that one little twist to put him back onto a better path. And sometimes we need to change that perspective in order to transcend what is above us and below us, and look at both of those halves. And, there is that, what I say, the silver lining, and you look for that.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And when you look at it from a different perspective, a spiritual perspective as well, it doesn't take the pain away. No one's saying that, but it does help to make sense sometimes. It does help to, that when you have had your own experiences, to put it into some sort of idea, to put it in some definition, to clarify things a little bit for yourself. But we all are on a unique journey, and we're all where we're supposed to be.
Yeah, and that's kind of the title for my book because it's loosely inspired by The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and my book's The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Soul, because in the book, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, written by Doug Adams, his protagonist is Arthur Dent. He's laying in front of this, starts out, he's going to lay in front of this plow. He's going to prevent it from taking his house down. He didn't get the letter about the highway coming through, and the Earth's about to be destroyed. And his friend Ford Perfect comes along. He's an alien, and he says, "Let's hitchhike." We get off the planet. The Earth gets destroyed, and they start hitchhiking along. And they're trying to find the meaning to life. And as they travel, they keep getting what seems to be further from where they're going, because they keep getting redirected. But ultimately, they end up where they're supposed to be. And that's where it loosely inspired the title for my book, is that inward journey, because we also have that same thing where if you just let life happen, you're going to end up where you're supposed to be, and not try to force it.
It's so difficult, though, isn't it, going with the flow and trusting it sometimes. And we're both, me and you, not saying that you don't put the legwork in. You have to have a vision. You have to have it's a goal, I suppose. A vision, I suppose, is more powerful in one sense. But you need to know what you want for the universe to give it to you, yeah? But I suppose what you're saying is when you just release it and say, right, this is what I want, I'm going to try to move down that path, and just let whatever be is going to be.
Right. You can't climb a mountain unless you put one foot in front of the other. You won't end up anywhere unless you start walking. And if you can't walk, you crawl. But as long as you're moving forward, you'll ultimately end up where you're supposed to be. And it does take that action. That's why I said we have free will. And yeah, I could stop this interview right now, get in my car, and drive it off a cliff by my choice right this second. That's free will, right?
Please don't.
Not that I'm going to do that. I'm going. No. But we do have that choice, and we can choose to love. We can choose to help others. We can choose to be great people. We can choose these things. And that's what it comes down to, is that choice, and using your free will for good things and helping. And the abundance comes in, and it's trusting that you don't have to worry if you apply it. But again, like you said, you have to have an action. You have to have a mission. And I look at it almost like we have the career and calling, and they're not two separate paths. They're intertwined like DNA. And you have it just like a braided strand of life. So these two highways that you have, your career and your ultimate, your bigger self, as you say. And those two are aligned, and they're intertwined, and they go in the same path, and you just jump between both of them, and you just wind along that, and you'll end up where you're supposed to be. And I'm taking those steps at this time, and that's where I decided, okay, how am I going to bring my business, my life, my family, everything sort of intertwined in that. And it's it's not easy sometimes, but you got to walk that path, and that's what I think of the rest of the second half of my life is going to be.
Right. Oh my God, right. Loads of stuff mentioned there. Really fascinating stuff. Actually, Edgar Casey, who I'm a great fan of, did always mention that being of service is what we're here to be, of service. You mentioned there as well that you as you say, you own a business, you've got a family, you've got this path as well, this spiritual path, which I think all paths are spiritual, but you've got you're receiving,
right.
You're having to keep that going as well. What if you've got ultimately a lot of ideas of what you'd love to do, and you don't know which one to choose, or you feel that if you can't do them all, but which one do I go for?
That is a great question. And, sometimes you feel like you're beating your head against a wall and you're not getting anywhere. It's because that's not the right choice at that time. And, I have a lot of goals. I'd love to have like a spiritual center where people come and to just connect, maybe meditate, maybe get healed, maybe have people there that do Reiki or different speakers or everything. And I'd love to build this, but it's not right now. Maybe this will come about, maybe it won't. But I think you also have to put something out in the universe. And I found that as soon as I think something, or I say something positive or negative, it comes back like a boomerang. It's immediate. Like my conduit there is very fast, so I have to be very careful
What did
what
I
I put
say
out
before
there.
about, yeah, but what did I say before about that quickness? It's because you're living your work. You've followed that path, to bring this information in, and it's opened up other avenues. One of them, I said to you, is manifestation. It has been for me as well, so I resonate with what you say there. It's very powerful right now, isn't it, with yourself?
Right. And here's the thing that you're probably going to find very interesting about me. I've never read any of the spiritual books. I recently, because somebody handed me one, but this whole journey, I've walked among everybody. I have not been at the top of the mountain, reading all of these incredible spiritual books and all this information. What I'm telling you today is just stuff that I don't know. I just see it.
Well, all I can
That's the
say,
only way I can describe it.
all I can say is it validates a lot of what has been written. So your journey is equal to some amounts of different books, in their truth.
Right.
That's nice to be told that, I'm guessing, because at least there's validation within you anyway. You don't need me to tell you, but I'm saying that what you say is validated by lots of other spiritual textbooks.
Right.
So yes, but it's interesting that you've not gone down that road and read any. You don't need to. You're on your own journey. If it feels right, you'll do it. But right now, this is where you're at.
But I learned from you guys, from people that have read all these, and then they'll fill in. So it's almost like I see the puzzle, but it might be missing a couple of the corner pieces or a couple of pieces, and then I'll speak to somebody like yourself, and you'll have that missing piece or how it connects together.
One thing I will say is that from my own channelings, which I channel as well, is that there is no one truth. There's ultimate truth in the sense that everyone has their own truth and everyone's on their own journey. And you've got your truth, I've got mine, someone else has got theirs, blah, 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 blah. That's just how it's meant to be. I think even when you cross over, from what I've been told, we are still trying to make our own truth up on that side as well. And there's ultimate infinitive levels to go to with ultimate different truths.
Right.
So there's not one defining rule, as religion would tell us in a sense, or others may say. But then again, that's my truth. So I have to respect other people's, and I think any truth is worth its weight in gold when it comes. When you use the words, how much from love does this come from? Is it loving?
Yeah, and mine. I think my entire journey, or what I'm supposed to do, is how the importance of love. And it's such a simple word. It's 4 letters. And we put this label on something that seems so simple. It's like, well, do you love or don't you? But it's much more than that. It's almost like a meditation in itself, that it is to the edge of the universe. And I tell people, I thank you from the bottom of my heart, but I've never gotten there yet. That's how vast love is, and it's infinite. And
Yes.
When you do an act of kindness here, it's like playing a single note in a beautiful symphony, but it instantly goes over to what I say is the other side, which is actually, I feel, is layered right on top of us. Like heaven is not somewhere else. It is here in the same plane in a different sense. But as soon as you do that act of kindness, whether it's just sharing a smile, whether it's helping somebody or doing something incredible, those notes get played into this beautiful symphony that's sung forever, into this music that I can't even describe to anyone because it's beyond music. And it plays for you. It's your music that you get when you cross over. And all of that is there. And the love that you've shared with anybody. I don't say sorry for your loss. When somebody says somebody passed away, everybody says sorry for your loss. I'm like, they're not lost, they're found. They're found. And you've got to understand that you're going to spend the rest of this life discovering them and what their legacy was, because if you just look for the hints, they leave them for you. They're not gone. Just like when you take a piece of paper and burn it up, it's not gone. It's just transformed. Every element in the universe, and this is where my science side meets the spiritual side.
No, it's good.
It's all been here. Everything has been here, and it's always been here. So if all the elements are here and they've always been in the universe, and I'm made of these elements, then I know I'm infinite too, because we all are.
And if you can't,
you just connect that way.
if you can't create or destroy energy, it just is. So when we do pass on, we're moving vibration. We're moving into a different vibrational state, but the energy,
Right.
is still there. And but then. I don't remember ever coming from there, or what it was like before.
Right.
But then, if I had that memory, then perhaps this potential human experience would be over.
Right.
And it's not meant to be. We're supposed to, have this. Being human is so important. Being here now, trying to work out what's on the other side, or what's in this space just here. Yes, it's great if we can bring in learning, teaching knowledge from it, yeah, and love, like as you do through what you do. But to be addicted to just that and not living now is so important. What being here is such a, as you've said, it's what we do now has a massive effect on those, if we use the words crossed over already, or those on the other side. If we
Right.
they're just words. So I think, as you say, what we do here does have massive ramifications. Our healing is their healing. Their healing is our healing.
Yeah, one thing that I had prior to the angel experience, so I have my life before that and my life after that, was I kept questioning, why do we help other people? What is the point? Because we're all going to die anyway. Why are we extending life? Why do doctors, exist? And I mean, I went pretty dark. I was going down the path, and that was answered for me, because every act of kindness is like this vibration that it feeds the other side, and it's almost like it keeps it in balance. That, for lack of a better way to explain it, it's almost like everything goes into a black hole, or it becomes light. And every act of kindness is like that light that feeds the energy of everything else. So it's almost like the fuel that keeps it all going. And that, I talked to somebody that, she was burned in a horrific car accident. And, she could have been a model, and this accident happened when she was 17. And I said, I was only 10 at the time that this happened. And I talked to her years later, and I said, I don't know if I could have, gone, through this and stayed on. And what gave you? And she said two things. One was faith, and the other one was she had adopted babies temporarily who had AIDS, or just had a very short time to live. And she said, because everyone deserves to know what love is, even if it's only for a few seconds. Everyone deserves that. And that was just so profound, that, those things and what carried her through to inspire me. And I've had these incidences throughout my life that I think I was shown so that I could help other people with this knowledge, or seeing things in a different way that most people don't.
That is deeply profound. That is, and she continues that work today, does she?
Yes.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah, just thank you for sharing that. Thank you very, very much. With obviously, because we're going to get to your business side as well, and there's a reason. Well, I think it's an important side to get to. I really do. Just very brief. So we're putting your website up now. Just if you could just give us your web address.
Sure, I have two. There's guidetothesoul.com, and then my business one is Spiral Design, SPIRAL design.com, and that's my design and marketing firm. And then the other is there's the career side and the calling side. So those are my two halves.
Wonderful. And just with the growth of your Facebook page as well, I mean, has that been an organic growth just by yourself?
Yes.
Wow.
There's just so many shares that go off of it. I've had people that are Facebook experts look at my page and say, it's not just a number of fans or people connected to the page, it's your engagement level. And they said, yours is through the roof. And it started out slow, it was slowly growing, and there's a certain amount of drop off that happens, but it grows by sometimes 1,000 people a day. Sometimes it's 1,000 or 2,000 a week, but on average, it's about 2,000 a week. Last few days, I don't know what was going on, but it was like 2,000 people joined the page, and it just keeps growing by that. But it's the shares of the shares. It's and then now there's this vast network of people that I've connected to, who are also sharing positive things, and it's just this reciprocity through this. And I figured, social media is a great way to get a positive message out. It reaches every country, every race, every religion. I have people from Pakistan, England, France, Germany, countries I don't even know,
Wow, wow,
languages I've
wow,
never
wow,
heard of that translate my posts. And that is just a beautiful honor that I get to bring this out and post it. And every day it's a surprise. I don't try to think what I'm going to write tomorrow. I just wake up and it's written.
And I love the we'll just put a few on the screen now. I love the images that you use in the background as well. They're really decent. They're just nice images which resonate with the words. And I'm guessing you're in such a routine now, but it still takes time to do it.
I actually do it while I'm eating breakfast, and
All right.
I wake up with the words, and I immediately know what visual goes with that. And through my design firm, I have a stock account for images, and I can quickly search up whatever it is I need, and I'll just get a vision. It'll say North Star, sunrise, aurora borealis or something, and I'll find that image, and it just pops up, and I'm like, that's the image. And
Beautiful.
There's 3 different levels that happen with the post, because there's a title for the post too. So there's something in that. So here's a post that I wrote a little while back. It's called The Light Bearer. And so the background is stars with a sunrise, and there's a single tree. Don't ask me, but there's some message in that part too. But it says, and then it was a poem. It was, "You are born to be a child of the infinite light. Your wings may be hidden, but you always take flight. Your smile a radiant gift from the angels, they say. Bestow your design beauty to brighten another's day. Allow your compassion to give your wings their lift, and know the love in your heart is God's great gift." And it was just like, The Light Bearer is the title, which to me is like how you bring that love in. And we talk about the light, but it physically is light. And light is they've studied, like Einstein, how light travels. So it's the light bearer. And then other things will come out of that. And I'll understand light bearer. It's like, why do angels always win any battle of darkness? Because their weapon of choice is light. It's just like, it's endless. Like, I'll get these ideas that come out of these quotes.
And I speak to different channelers, to interview them, and they always say to me that when they communicate, sometimes if they didn't communicate by words, they'd be communicating by light.
Yeah, I imagine that's probably correct, because I think in the pure sense, that's what everything is. And think about, it doesn't matter where you are. If you bring your light to the world, think about the light of a star. It takes sometimes millions and billions of years to reach us from somewhere else. But eventually that light will reach the far edge of the universe. And our love does exactly the same thing every time that we share that kindness that we have and the compassion for others. And I feel that around people. And, we have this simple gift. The one thing that the angel gave me, when she first came in, she was not smiling. She just had kind of a neutral face, almost like the Mona Lisa, with just a small smile. But when I thought of the funny joke and thought, can you read minds? And she probably thought, this guy's an idiot. But she smiled, and I realized we're the only creatures on this planet that can smile like that can share that and what it means behind it. And she shared and kept that smile until she went back to the pinnacle of light. And I thought, this is a tool that we carry with us every day. And how often do we use it, really? And if you think about it, do you smile when you're alone? I've had this, and I was thinking about it, and I'm thinking, how often don't we smile when we're alone? And I smile when I'm alone because I realize I never am. Never.
Right.
Right. We're always connected. I always something there.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that with us. So, there you go, smiling, it has a resonant effect with you. It does. I think you're completely right there. And, I think when Gabriel came to see you, I don't think she was judging of what she thought, you may have been thinking was correct or not. I think she only had love for you.
Right.
A message
of
positivity.
I did. And I closed my eyes.
We judge.
And I could see it coming down, this light, this healing. And my whole body got warm. And I was just like renewed. I was like rebooted. It was like rearranged all the cells in your body. And you're just like, wow. And my whole life changed. The next day, I started the journey back to my road, and it took 5 years before I actually felt like I physically stepped back onto that path that I had left. It was like a reverse climb where you head off in an exit down into the weeds, and then you got to climb your way back. But I did, and I made it back, and I've never looked back on that, and I've just gone forward from there.
Now, another interesting side of you, which I know. Thank you for sharing that, by the way. Another interesting side, because I know we've only got so many minutes here, and it's just there's so much good stuff to talk about. There really is. It is business, and you being self-employed and the owner of this business, which is a design firm. So you've kind of got one foot in the spiritual, one foot in being a human, which I think is a great thing. It keeps you centered. But I think what it's done for you is give you a perspective on business from a spiritual experience as well. So could you kind of share with us, as an awoken person, as you fully are, you just it's incredible what you're doing. How you bring that into your company, and could this be applied to any kind of business?
Yeah, and I look at companies that are in alignment with us and our company. My wife and I founded it we're 26 years ago, and our logo was actually an angel holding a spiral, but the spiral's not touching the hand, because I feel all the creativity of everything is right there, and we bring it in. So I think about it was Paul McCartney who said, somebody asked him once, how do you write all these amazing hit songs, and where do they come from? And he said, every great song that's ever been written is right there. I just have the honor of plucking one out of the air and bringing it down and writing it down. And it's like that with creativity, but also giving back. And as a company that is in a community, I feel we draw from the community, so you should put back into it. And there's this reciprocity that happens between the giving, that it comes back in abundance, and it comes back in the trust of people and the community, and they want to work with you. And I don't do it to force that, but that's just a byproduct of being a great person within that, and threading that into things that you do. So we're a creative firm, so we selected some nonprofits that needed help to get their message out. So we adopted them and used our creative talents to help further their message. And those are some things you can do. I mean, you can donate money and do those things as well. And some companies do a great job of that and sponsoring things. But you have talents, you have certain gifts that, how can you apply that for goodness? How can you take what's in your company and use it to better others in your community and in the world? And there's some great things that you can do. And, we've aligned ourselves with a lot of great companies. And, we work with law firms to major corporations, Fortune 500 companies like Disney and Activision. We actually did the whole online release for Guitar Hero 3. And so we get to work with these great games and, just fun stuff. It's creative, and we love what we do. We do web development, branding, and all those things. But we have to take a certain percentage of that and apply it for good. So any company can do this, even from just a small, single owner out of your house. How can you do something better for the world and apply that?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And we talked about before about being of service. And I think, when I think about this, I think most companies are of service because you're providing something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That they want to exchange money for, in a sense. But then how? See, you kind of look at it from maybe a different perspective, in that how you deal with your employees. How do you, as a spirit, as an awoken person, deal with employees and how you treat them, and just day-to-day stuff as well? That's different, perhaps.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I mean, we have core employees, and it's finding the right fit. And some people, believe it or not, can't handle that type of environment. It's just not a right fit for them at the right time, and I understand that. And we've had many great employees come and go. We've had, some good breaks, some bad. It's all part of life, and sometimes it's disruptive. Sometimes you have to sit them down and say, it's just not working out. And I have to do the, you're fired thing, but I hate
which is tough.
having to deal with that. But that's part of, dealing with life and business and personalities. But when you have the right people and they all click together and it's reinforcing your message, and you should have a core value that works across with everybody. And that's really the key is, what is your message beyond just this? And how can you make a great environment? We look at it this way. We have employees that work for us for 8 or 9 hours a day, Monday through Friday. And we don't try to work them from 7 in the morning or 6 in the morning till 11 p.m. at night on a salaried employee and kill them. And then they got to work weekends and everything. We set a goal to really work those normal hours so that they could have time at home, get rested. And believe it or not, people are more focused with less time when they're rested and they're happy and they have the family time. And we find out what's important to them. And each person's an individual. Some people, they don't care about getting bonuses or things. It might be an additional day off. Just that extra half day on Friday might just be the thing that they need. And so we do fun stuff. Maybe we'll set some goals and put some fun cards. Maybe some gift cards, and you get a Friday off or a 3-day weekend or something. And if we hit these goals, and it's not goals from the top down. I sit them down. I said, you guys go downstairs. Come back to us with the goals. Here's where we are. Here's what we're trying to do. You guys come back and empower the staff to do those things, to solve the problems. So that's kind of the key.
That's amazing. Yeah, that really, really different compared to what some companies do out there, and the way they run it as well. So it's not really about what you do; it's the little things sometimes, and it's about how you do it. I mean, but obviously you need to be getting out of bed in the morning and feeling empowered that you're going to go and make a difference, or right. Do you? Or is it a difference? Is it a difference to the customer? Is it a difference to the employees? Is it all? I mean, just
it's all. And our greatest competition is ourselves. We've always set that, because when people ask you, like, who's your competitor? I'm like, we are. We want to do better. If we're not growing, we're dying. So we need to push ourselves to be better. And they really do look at each client that we work with on how can we help them be the best that they can do and be, to get their message out, because they're doing wonderful things for the community, and we want them to succeed as well. And we want them to be happy. So it's when we know what we call nailed it and just have it right, and we want to be, they strive for that perfection. They strive for doing that stuff and sitting among these people that are super creative every day and having these great ideas and how they can just see it. I mean, we can almost answer each other's or finish each other's sentences. Our conversation might be, yeah, so, okay, it's going to, yep, or yeah, it's going to be, oh, yeah, I got it. And people are like, what did you guys just say? No, we just talked about the whole design. We got it. And they're like, what? How did that come about? It's because we just know and just feel, and it's like a Swiss clock. It's just so tuned. And the creative level, as you talk about the vibration, being in a creative environment, the vibration, I feel like I'm in an office where only dogs can hear the pitch that these guys are vibrating at sometimes, because of the creativity that they have. And actually, our creative director is from Bournemouth, England. So we have we took one over from across the pond, and he followed his love of his life here to the U.S. So
I'm going to be doing the same. Don't you worry about that. I'm wanting to move to the U.S. as well. So yeah,
right, well,
I do understand.
Stop by anytime. We're in upstate New York, so it's a quick shot over to New York and just take the train up.
Well, thank you very much. I'm actually going to be staying to begin with for the first 3 months in Virginia Beach at the ARE, the Edgar Casey Center, called the called the ARE. But I'm going back for Christmas. But yeah, no, New York. I'm actually heading up to New York. So thank you for that. That's very kind of you. I really do like what you're doing with the business side as well. I think that's so important, and I don't get to interview many people who have that business side as well. A business in what they do, of course, but not a separate entity that's doing something completely different in one sense to what their other path is as well. So it's very, very interesting to speak to yourself, and I do resonate with what you said earlier on as well, where you felt that we can't do everything, and that you do have this calling to open up a spiritual center one day. My feeling for you, and I don't know why I get this feeling, is in the future you'll be still having the business, but you'll be backing off that a little bit to do other things, and that's the feeling I get for you.
Yeah, it's I feel things are in place where I work like 7 to 3. I get a lot done. I've made things very easy for me to get everything done. And then I have those extra 2 hours to meet my son at home. And I feel that the technology part that I have is to help me reach other people. So I have all this incredible knowledge of using, like we're on Skype here, but video conferencing, and not trying to fly all over the world, but meet everybody in all these different markets or other places. So that's part of it, is just being connected and harnessing that. And I've talked to a lot of spiritual people, and they said I'm kind of an odd man out. I'm highly technical, highly advanced on the business side, and then also have this highly developed spiritual side. And
I think it's
like a weird mix, because they're like, you're like you have the X factor thing that they're either very good at one thing but not the other. And I'm like I try to tell people I'm like Spock from Star Trek. I'm the I have a virtual whiteboard, and I can actually visualize the code and just type it in. I don't even write anything down. I can just write code, no problem, right out of my head, and just visualize the whole application, and it's done. And the quotes come in the same way, so I'm balanced on both of those. So it's like I'm what I consider center-brained, not whole-brained, but center-brained, because I can jump in either half.
Absolutely, and that's a beautiful gift. Do you ever feel that does it ever get you stressed out? I mean, do you I mean, does that even exist as much as it used to now? With what I really mean by the stress is in the sense of trying to balance everything.
And that's the word. It's balance. And I feel even when things aren't going well, I still feel balance. And sometimes the scale tips one direction or the other, but the needle will center again, and the plane levels, and everything comes back together. And again, it's trusting in what you put out in your thoughts. And I also had this what I call my downloads. That's why my second book is called Daily Downloads and Fortune Cookies from the Universe. So I feel like my head is almost like a hard drive. They come in. It's when you draw a picture of what it is you're trying to bring into your life or release. And when you draw the picture, it opens up another part of your mind, that creative side that you may not use. And it also brings it into manifestation. And there's something about just drawing the picture of it, almost like a vision board, but something drawn with your own hand, makes it that much more powerful. So I'm exploring a lot of these workshop exercises and things that I'm developing now that involve drawing. So for the corporate audience, it would be drawing leadership from the heart. For the spiritual audience, it would be drawing God with crayons. And that kind of sets the model of, it's really just trusting and pulling these things in, and having, and the quotes, the words. I have diagrams. There's all sorts of things that I've got, and I actually did a Renewals Eve celebration. I think I'm going to do annually with a great friend of mine, Christaria, and she's a spiritual singer, healer, and we did this Renewals Eve celebration. We put it together in 10 days, had a couple hundred people from around the world come in on Learn It Live and through the Wellness Universe, and tune in. And we just did this, put some cameras up and went for it.
That's incredible. It's incredible. And I know we're almost out of time here, but what would be your sort of final message for the audience, if you have one?
Well, there's a couple, and one is that the people that you've touched in your life, you may have people that think about you, and you don't even realize that you changed their life in a profound way, and know that love and that connection's there. And just think about that at night. By just being you, that you've created this light that is endless. And it's almost like a water droplet that goes in and ripples out. And those ripples go to the end of the universe. They continue to go. And always know that importance. Never doubt your self-worth. And I see a lot of people that walk this planet that don't realize the gift that they are just by being who they are and everything that you bring to it. And you are somebody that means something to others, and you're so important to everything. Ride the journey out to the end. I know suicide is an easy way out, and you've got to be in such deep depression and grief or sorrow or whatever it is. Depression's not a cause for suicide, but it is most people that are depressed, that have committed suicide. It's that right around the corner, there is that turn, and you just got to ride it out and wait for it, because it will be there, and you need to trust that.
Well, Robert Clancy, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a complete pleasure.
Well, thank you, and I look forward to connecting with you again, and I will share your episode on to my audience, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they think of this too. So it was a pleasure being here.
Well, we've come to an end on tonight's show. Don't forget that you can listen and watch all our past interviews on The More Show's official YouTube channel. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for new daily shows. You may also find out more on all past and upcoming guests via themoreshow.co.uk, and do like us on Facebook and Twitter for the latest updates. So until next time, be safe.